Coaches, welcome to the 2021 Fall Volleyball Session 2 Coaches Meeting. Once again, we appreciate you coaching. If you're coaching in our Session 1 Volleyball League, we certainly appreciate that and hope your season has gone well so far. A few reminders we'll go over here before we get into some rules is that we'll play all of our matches in the AISD Middle School gymnasiums. We'll start at 6 o'clock on Friday nights and 10 o'clock on Saturday mornings. What we're trying to do, and we did this the first session, we're not going to play any games on Sunday this fall. Custodians for AISD certainly need a break, and I think parents, it's great for you to be home with your kids on Sunday. So we've tried it in the Session 1, as I mentioned. We'll try it here once again. So matches only on Fridays and Saturdays, no Sunday volleyball matches for Fall Volleyball Session 2. We hope you enjoy the Sunday off. Schedules will be emailed to you on Tuesday, November 2nd after 5 p.m. You may pick up your t-shirts starting on Wednesday, November 3rd after 9 o'clock in the morning. If you'll help us pick up trash once you leave your playing area, your bench area after each one of your matches. Obviously, there's no food or drink allowed in the gyms per AISD. We will allow water, so make sure you pick up all your water bottles and belongings once you finish your match on Friday or Saturday. If your gym is locked at 5:45 on Friday or 9:45 on Saturday, that's the times we ask the custodians to have our gyms open, which is plenty enough time. That gives us 15 minutes to get in there and get everything ready to go, get a few warm-ups in, and then go from there. But if that gym's locked, give me a call on our Kids Incorporated cell phone at 576-8005, and I'll be in contact with somebody with AISD, and we'll make sure the gyms are open. But please wait until 5:45 on Friday and 9:45 a.m. on Saturday before you call me. Sometimes we're running a minute or two late, so give them a couple of minutes there. But if they're not open at that time, certainly need to know so we can start everything on time. Also, if you don't see any a net up, obviously you don't see any players' benches or a table there, a scorer's table, let me know that also, and I'll get in touch with the custodial folks because we ask them to have everything set up, our needs that are ready to go on Friday and Saturday before we start our matches. We appreciate your cooperation and thank you for your help. Coach, let's go back and talk about our schedules. I did mention the date to pick those up, but let's do this. Let's do the best we can. Let's make sure that when you get that schedule, it's good. Obviously, if you had any requests on there, which there shouldn't be any schedule requests other than if you're playing a doubleheader or if you're an out-of-town team, we're trying to play you on Saturdays or Friday evenings, at least 2 games. But once you get that schedule, let's make sure we play those games. We had quite a few in our Session 1 call, and we had to make up a handful of matches for various reasons, and I know things happen and emergencies can certainly happen. But let's do the very best we can, coaches, to make sure we make our match that's on the schedule. It's difficult sometimes to make up games. We don't have the gym or the gym times allotted to someone else. If you've got a good assistant coach, or make sure you find a good assistant coach or a couple of parents to help you. But if you can't make it, coach, I certainly understand. Let's have an assistant or a parent try to coach your particular match. That way we don't have to miss it and try to look for a date to make that up. It gets a little tougher as the season moves on, okay? And we appreciate your help with that. Coach, let's talk about some rules. Let's start with our older kids right now. Let's start with our 5th through 8th grade rules, and then we'll go to 3rd and 4th, and we'll go to 2nd grade, okay? Obviously, 5th through 8th, we're playing regular volleyball. There's no question about that. It's regular rules for volleyball. This is standard volleyball playing rules, other than maybe a couple local rules we have that I'll go over here in a few minutes. But let's make sure you're wearing your signed t-shirt from Kids Incorporated for Fall Volleyball Session 2. Jewelry or hair accessories of any kind are not permitted other than bobby pins, which are fine. Hard or plaster cast are not permitted, and we would certainly make sure that all kids have knee pads on those. If you're hitting the floor on that wooden floor, it's not going to feel too good on the knee without a knee pad. So do the best we can to have your knee pads ready to go for every match. Coaches, all players must play at least half the match. If you'll take care of that for me, I would certainly appreciate that. The serving area is the back line of the volleyball court, which is standard. Obviously, the court's a 30 by 60 length and width. Net height, we try to get about 6'6" to 7 foot. If the custodians get it as close as they possibly can, so let's look at 6'6" for sure, hopefully there. Time limit for all matches is 60 minutes, so we should be in and out. The next start at 10, the next match will start at 11 o'clock. Be a 3-minute break between each set. The clock will stop. Each team will be allowed one 30-second timeout per set. Teams must have 6 players to constitute a legal set. Otherwise, the set is a forfeit. I don't want to use the word forfeit like that. As if you've got 4 or 5, let's try to play 5v5, even maybe a 4v4 if we had to. Let's make sure we're there and get some playing time in. Certainly, if you don't have enough kids to be able to play the match, try to give Kids Incorporated a call by 5 o'clock on Friday to make sure we have time to let the other coach know in your particular league that you may not have enough to play. But as I mentioned earlier, let's try to get all of our matches in. Positions, let's talk about that for the older kids. Sometimes that becomes a concern or a question mark there. Let's make sure we understand what we're doing in the 5th through 8th grade, which is a lot different than 2nd through 4th. Make sure that we're subbing on the sides, okay? When you've got your team lined up on the bench area there and you want to have a substitution, if you've got a sub, then make sure they come off the bench, come to the 10-foot line there. We're going to sub those players out. And by saying that, I mean, let's make sure that we understand each set's different. Let's say I may substitute for you, coach, the first set, and then the second set you want me to substitute for somebody else. That's fine to do that. But once you've got one set going and you want to sub different players in for some other players, that's fine. But you have to make sure that you stay with the same player for a particular set. So, coach, you and I are tied together. Maybe if somebody and somebody else are tied together. Maybe 3 people, maybe you want to sub all 6 people, but for that particular set, 1 and 2 and 3, they have to sub for the same person each set. Once the set changes, as I mentioned, you may sub for somebody else in that particular set, but you just can't go in and sub for whoever you want to in any set. It doesn't work like that with our rules. So make sure you understand that. If you have any questions, certainly give me a call at the office. I'd be more than happy to go over that and explain that to you once again. Try to do the best we can, coaches, to receive those forearm passes, or once we've served, try to receive with the forearm here, trying to make sure we make a pass. We're trying not to just try to slap at the ball and get in bad habits like that, especially with the older kids, and most of you will know that though. But try to do the best we can to receive the serve with a forearm pass. I think that'll help you out down the road. Front row players may not attack the serve, meaning jump up and knock it back down. We cannot do that. Now, occasionally we'll have a serve go over and somebody will throw up their hands and a serve may go back over, but the intent was not there to attack the serve. And so our referees will make the judgment call on that particular play. We will have one official for each match in your gym. If there's no clock in your gym or the clock's not working, please give me a call at the number I gave you earlier to make sure that we can get a clock in there or let folks know if the clock may not be working. But our official will always have a watch or a timepiece on hand to make sure. Also, we'll have the scoreboard working there. If that's not working, you'll have your score sheets there, coaches, to make sure you can keep score with your score sheets. But I need to know if a clock's not working, that's for sure. All sets will be played to 25 coaches with a cap of 27 points. Rally scoring will be used, meaning a point is awarded to the serving or receiving team depending on the result of the play. Before time has expired, if one team is not ahead by 2 points, when they reach 25 points, the first team to 27 points win. In other words, we're not going to play past 27 points ever, coaches. And I'll give you a couple of examples here. After time has expired, a team must win by 2 points, regardless if they have reached 25 points or reached the cap of 27 points first. Example, if a team is ahead by 1 point and time expires, the match will continue until a team wins by 2 points or has reached the cap of 27. Another example, if a team is ahead by 2 points or more and time expires, obviously the set's over. Coaches, any questions on those rules for 5th through 8th, certainly as I mentioned earlier, please give me a call. I'll be happy to go over those with you once again. Coaches, we hold you accountable and responsible for a lot of things, but you're in a good spot. We appreciate you coaching for one, but we do ask that make sure you take care of those kids out there. They're in your care. Make sure that the physical and mental well-being of children entrusted to you, that you take care of those. Make sure you maintain some kind of adequate level of discipline on your team. Conduct and control the team's fans and spectators, that's easier said than done. We want to make sure parents don't get too ruly or out of control. Certainly over a Kids Inc. volleyball game, I wouldn't think that would happen though, okay? Make sure everybody gets their playing time, coaches. Everybody's required to play a minimum of half that match. Since it's a 3-set match for this age group, you can do it 2 ways depending on the number of kids on your team. If if you've got 12 players, certainly if you want to sub halfway through the first set and the other halfway through the set, that's great. Do that in every set. That certainly ensures playing time. If you play a particular group the first set and the next group the second set, that's fine. And that third set, make sure you're subbing 6 and 6. That way everybody gets their equal playing time. A lot of you may not have 12 players on your team. Maybe it's 8 or 10, but if a kid plays more on a Friday night and 2 or 3 play less, then make sure on Saturday the 2 or 3 maybe that didn't play as much to at least half their match get a little bit more playing time on the Friday night. Just make sure that you rotate people, get people comfortable, mix your kids around, maybe some stronger players, maybe not as stronger players. I tell you what, confidence levels are built like that. Everybody's confidence level goes up when people are doing well around you, and I think that certainly helps. So please make sure adequate playing time, minimum playing time, you know what that rule is. For the most part, I think most kids will play more than half the match, which is what we'd like to have anyway. But sometimes the number of kids on your team, when you get to 12, will tell you it's difficult to do that other than if you're trying to just do half and half. So please take care of those kids for us if you would, Coach. Make sure, Coach, back to our code of conduct, make sure we don't have any profane, obscene, or abusive or degrading language around the kids in the gym at practice or in our games. Let me talk about practice gyms real quick. Make sure that if you're not going to be at a practice for a particular time on a day, that you contact Kids Incorporated a day or two before, so we will know. We can let AISD know to have that gym shut off or at least closed earlier in the night than the particular time that it was scheduled to be played. But just leaving them open like that and unlocked, that's not a good thing for anybody. We want to make sure that nobody's in the gym but those players who are practicing and the coaches who are in there also. So let us know if you're not going to be able to make a practice. Certainly before that day at 5 o'clock, certainly a day or two before if you know that. Make sure, coaches, we don't handle a child in an aggressive or physical manner or anything. There's a way to talk to a child, move a child from point A to point B. You never know what can happen. Don't ever put yourself in a spot that Kids Incorporated cannot defend you with. But I know I'm preaching to the choir. Just make sure coaches, one, have fun, teach them something about the game, and hopefully they'll want to come back and play another time of volleyball or any other sport with Kids Incorporated. But I certainly appreciate your time, and I appreciate you coaching with us. Any questions, certainly give me a call. 5th through 8th graders, we appreciate you, and we'll see you on the court. All right, coaches, let's talk to the 3rd and 4th grade rules. Let's speak to those for a few minutes. If you have any questions, certainly give me a call. Once we finish this meeting here, you can certainly call me during the season if something's not right to you or doesn't feel right. But let's cover those rules for 3rd and 4th grade players. Let's make sure certainly that you wear the proper Kids Incorporated t-shirt for fall volleyball session 2. Jewelry or hair accessories of any kind are not permitted. You can only wear plain bobby pins. Hard or plaster cast are not permitted. Make sure we don't have a child with a cast on or a hard surface like that. Obviously, we would like for you to wear knee pads, because once you're diving on those floors out there, that's a wooden floor. It's pretty tough on the knees, so we'd like to have everybody wear knee pads. If Coach, we make sure that possibly can happen for everybody with their parents. Let's talk about a few rules for our 3rd and 4th grade. All players must play at least half the match. Serving area for the 3rd grade league is 15 foot inside the serving line for the volleyball court line, not the back line or the basketball line, the volleyball line. And those are easily marked in the middle school gyms. You'll be able to tell what's what as far as volleyball line and the back court of the basketball line. Net height is around 6'6". Want the custodians put that up. Hopefully it's in that area or so. Each match will consist of 3 sets. Team will not play best 2 out of 3. You'll play 3 complete sets for that particular match. Time limit for each set is 15 minutes with a running clock. All matches will be finished in a 60-minute time limit, which gives us an hour. We should probably really finish in about 50 to 55 minutes, and then we'll have the next match following you every hour on the hour. Friday night, 6, 7, and 8. Saturday start at 10 and go as long as we need to, depending on the number of teams we have in a particular league in a particular gym. Be a 3-minute break between each set. Kind of gather your thoughts there. Have your water, this, that, and the other. Each team will be allowed 1 30-second timeout per set. Clock will stop. Teams must have 6 players to constitute a legal set. Otherwise, a set's a forfeit, and don't like the word forfeit. If we've got 5 there or even 4, the other team's there. Let's try to get something played there. We've got a referee there to call the match, so let's either play 4v4 or 5v5, whatever we need to do. Certainly 6v6 is what we need to be playing, but if you're there, let's do something for that 45 minutes to make sure we get some play in, since you did pay for that. For 3rd and 4th grade, substitutions will be made at the center back position, meaning coaches, if you'll line your kids up, this is where you can line your kids up more toward the back line of the basketball line of the gym, not on the back line of the volleyball line. That gets pretty crowded if the back row is trying to go for a play or a ball and you're standing in the way. So coaches, if you'll back those 3rd and 4th graders up to the back line of the basketball line, which basically will be underneath the goal. That way you can line them up and in whatever rotation you want. That way when they sub in, they'll come in the middle back position. Whoever comes out will go to the end of the substitution line and they'll work their way back forward. Coaches, whatever we do, don't try to put a kid or mix a kid in earlier than when they should be coming in the game. You've got a player that's, let's say, a pretty good little player, and they come out, but then you put them in front of 2 or 3 others, all of a sudden they're back in the match. I can assure you somebody will notice that, and they'll give me a call on Monday morning. So if you will, coach, just help us out. Find an order your kids want in for that first particular set, put them in an order. Their second set may change and their third may change. Obviously, you're going to start different kids every set so they get a chance to start the match and not come in as a sub each and every time. So he'll take care of that for us. Obviously, we'll use the let serve, meaning if the serve hits the net and goes over, that will be a point. Obviously, if it hits the net and goes back and bounces back, obviously that's a point for the other team. But let's talk a little bit about that on our serving for our 3rd and 4th graders. You'll get to serve up to 3 serves. That doesn't mean you're serving all 3 unless you can make the first 2. Certainly, you get the 3rd set. If you miss the first set, then it's a side out point for the other team, and then we'll start then it's side out, as I mentioned, to the other team. So if you make the first 2 and miss the 3rd, then it's side out right there. Only in 2nd grade do we allow everybody to serve all 3 serves. So make sure your players understand that you get up to 3 successful serves, and if something's not made, then obviously act accordingly after that, if you will, please. Do our best, coaches, on serves to try to receive that with a forearm pass here. We're not trying just to throw arms and hands out. At this age, they're still learning, obviously, but let's do our best to make sure we're trying to teach that forearm pass where we've got our palm covering here and our thumbs here, and getting a good platform of your stance, making sure we're stepping toward the pass, calling the ball, just basic fundamentals of volleyball. It's difficult out there when the ball goes up, and I think everybody wants to say something, then they don't, and the ball falls in between. So help them out as far as communication. That's a tough one. So make sure we're calling the ball, trying to receive everything with a good forearm pass. You will have one official provided for your match. We'll make sure they're there on time, and they'll be in charge of that particular floor that particular evening. We'll make sure the clock's working, everything's out, but the referee will take care of your match for that particular league, 3rd and 4th grade. You need to provide one linesman and one scorekeeper per set or per match, however you want to do that. Some people like to rotate, but make sure we get the scorekeepers at the table sitting together so they can kind of keep score together. As I mentioned, you'll have the scoreboard to help you with that if you choose to use the scoreboard. And then our linesmen, obviously, you've got those on one side or the other. We preferably like for those lines people just to stay on the same side, not alternate sides with the side that their team goes on. Just stay in one corner or the other for the entire match. Seems to go a little bit better like that. If you can help us with that. Scoring, coaches, all sets will be played at 25 points with a cap of 27 points. Rally scoring will be used. As I mentioned a while ago, a point is awarded to the serving team or receiving team depending on the result of the play. So a point's going to be awarded after each serve, one way or the other. Before time has expired, if one team is not ahead by 2 points when they reach 25 points, the first team to 27 points wins. After time has expired, a team must win by 2 points regardless if they have reached 25 points or reached the cap of 27 first. So let me explain that. 2 examples I'll use. If a team is ahead by 1 point and time expires, the match will continue until a team wins by 2 points or reach 27. We never go over 27 points. That's it. Another example, if a team is ahead by 2 points or more and time expires, certainly the set is over then. So if you don't understand that or have a question, certainly give me a call at the office. I'll be more than happy to cover that with you again or go over some specifics should you have another question about that. Let me talk to you a little bit, coaches, about your responsibility, and that's a big one. Obviously, we're going to hold you accountable for a lot of things. One, we appreciate you coaching, needless to say, for being out there and working with those kids day in to day out, a couple of practices a week, and then you've got an 8-game schedule. But make sure we're entrusting everything in you, their mental and physical well-being. We're putting you in charge of that. Make sure kids are taken care of out there, treated with respect and dignity. Maintain an adequate level of discipline on your team. Also, the conduct and control your team's fans and spectators. That's a tough one. You've got a lot to do anyway, coaching. And you've got to kind of keep parents in square too. So make sure that you take care of those situations with a coaches meeting. If there's any questions with parents or we've got some concerns there, certainly give me a call. If I need to have yourself and your parent maybe come in, we can certainly sit down and visit. But we always want to be on our best behavior at those matches and games. That's coaches, players, and spectators. But if anything should come up during the season I can help you with along those lines, please don't hesitate to give me a call. Make sure your assistant coaches are there with you. You may have one on the bench. Make sure all assistant coaches have a background check on file with those head coaches you do, but make sure your assistants, anybody working with kids at a practice or a game, will have to have a background on file. They can certainly go to our website and fill out that volunteer contract labor form, or just come by our office at 27th and Osage and we can help you complete that form. Code of conduct, coaches, obviously we don't want any profane, obscene, abusive, or degrading language in front of anybody. Certainly the kids out there, parents involved, coaches involved. There's a lot of people in those gyms. You may not realize it, but you've got 2 teams that are playing. You've got 2 teams that are coming in waiting to play, and so that's a lot of folks that can hear and see what's happening. So I hope you would certainly make sure we take care of yourself out there and make sure that we don't do anything we can't defend you with, or players or your parents. And I know I'm preaching to the choir. Appreciate the work you do with kids, though, but let's make sure they all have a good time and make it fun for everybody, okay? Any questions, as I mentioned, certainly give me a call at the office at 376-5936. Be more than happy to help you. Coaches, once again, thank you for coaching. Without you coaching, then kids don't have a place to play. And our hat's off to you for Kids Incorporated. Coaches, we'll see you on the court. Welcome to our 2nd grade coaches. Let's talk about a few rules and things that we will require during the match. Each evening that we play, or each afternoon or morning we have our matches. Make sure, coaches, that we're wearing the correct Kids Incorporated t-shirt, the one that will be for fall volleyball session 2, not for session 1. Make sure we have those on our kids there. Jewelry or hair accessories of any kind are not permitted, with the exception of plain bobby pins. Those are fine to wear. Hard or plaster cast, obviously that's a safety issue. We do not want to wear any of those things out on the court. Knee pads, we'd like to require those for every child that's out there on the court. You fall or dive for a ball, it gets pretty tough on those knees if you're not wearing a knee pad. So let's make sure we have some knee pads on kids. A few of our game rules, coaches. All players must play at least half the match. That's a pretty simple request. I think certainly that can be done. Serving area, coaches, is 15 foot inside the volleyball court line. Make sure you're not on the back line, which is the back of the gym, or the basketball back line. Make sure we're not sitting back there. But when you have your substitutions, coaches, we really do want the subs to sit back there, because if they're on the back line of the volleyball court and a play happens there, they're going to get run over. So back your substitutions up to that black line, or basically it's underneath the goal is what it is. Coaches, for each set, put those kids in the specific order you want them in. Make sure they sub in middle back position. When it's their time to sub, when they come out, they'll go to the end of the line. Please make sure we don't put a kid back in the middle of the line so they can get to serve or get to play earlier than somebody else. We certainly don't want to have that happen, coaches. So just move them to the back of the line. They'll work their way up the line. Some teams will be a little shorter than those. You may have anywhere from 8 to 10 to 12 players. You've got 6 on the floor, so everybody should get their certainly half of playing time easily with our sets for our 2nd grade volleyball. 15-minute sets. Obviously, the referee will keep the time on that. The match should not go more than 60 minutes, because our matches start on the hour, such as Friday night 6, 7, 8, Saturday 10, 11, 12, 1, may go on farther depending on the size of the league. There'll be a 3-minute break between each set for the players to get together, have some water, and kind of go over what happened in the previous set. Each team will be allowed 1 30-second timeout per set. The clock will stop. Teams must have 6 players to constitute a legal set. Let's say we don't have 6 players for your particular team, 2 or 3 couldn't make it. we're there to play. So let's make sure maybe we can play a 5v5 or 4v4 game, or maybe another team would loan you a player so they don't have to, but that'd be a good way to do it because we're all there. We paid the same money. Let's make sure we go ahead and get some kind of a game in there. Do the best we can, coaches, to make sure we get all of our players in the game, minimum half. Most will play more. If you work it right, the first set, maybe you start this 6, the second set you start a different 6, or however you do it, depending on the number of kids, and do the same for the third. Maybe Friday night's lineup's different, change your lineup for Saturday. That way every kid has a chance to start and be on the floor to start the match. I think that's fair. I think that's good. I think it's good self-esteem for kids. They want to be out there when we start the match. But everybody plays a role each and every time on that floor. For second grade only, each server will serve 3 consecutive serves, whether you make 1, 2, or all 3, or whether you miss 1, 2, or all 3. You're going to get 3 serves. We want our second graders to start learning how to serve, so we're going to give you 3 serves regardless of the outcome. So it gives you more time to work on them, not just in practice, but at least in a game situation there. You may either overhand or underhand the serve. Either way is fine. Most at this age will start out underhanding. We're making sure that we have our palm closed here. We're trying to hit the ball off of the face of our palm here. We don't want to turn it on the side there where you have less distance to hit a serve. That's a bad habit to get into. Ball, you never know where it can go. So at least try to do here and then make a step, come up and try to hit the ball using your hips and legs, certainly your arm, to come up through the ball and make the best serve you possibly can. You're going to miss some serves, and I promise you everybody out there is going to make a serve during the season. That's what we like to see. I know the coaches like to see that for sure. We'll use the let's serve method. Certainly if a serve hits the net and goes over, then it's a point for the other team. A point for your team. If you hit a serve and it goes in the net, it comes back, it's a point for the other team. But please remember, we're still getting 3 serves per child on each side of the ball for the entire match. Trying to teach them to receive that serve with a good forearm pass, your platform or your stance, feet apart, trying to get cup your hands here, put your thumb here. Obviously, we're trying to step into it, make a good pass. It's extremely difficult at second, third, and fourth grade. Second, third for sure to make that pass. You're just trying to make contact, and hopefully you get 3 balls. We're going to get 2, and then somebody gets it over on the third. So try to have a continuous play of ball, continue to go on. But it's tough in the second grade.'re just learning. We understand that. Coaches continue to work hard and work with them at practice, and certainly I think that pays off in the games there. They'll be better in the games. And I promise you, coaches, they'll be better. If you look at the first practice to the last game, I promise you'll see a difference in every child out there playing. For second grade coaches, all sets will be played at 25 points or a 15-minute time limit, whichever comes first. We will not use a cap of 27, and if we still have time remaining, we won't continue more. We'll go to whoever gets to 25 first, or if time runs out at 15 minutes, whatever the score is, at 15 minutes, then that's the final score for that particular set. If it's tied, then it's tied, but no cap for the second grade. You do not have to win by 2 points in the second grade. Coach, if you'll help us out, obviously, make sure you take care of those kids' mental and physical well-being out there. They're entrusted to you per their parents, and obviously we're holding you accountable as a volunteer coach for Kids Incorporated. We'll know you'll do a good job with those. Just make sure you're maintaining a good level of discipline out there. Everybody's getting their playing time in. Make it fun for everybody, obviously. Make sure coaches, parents, hopefully not kids, we don't have any profane or abusive obscene language out there on the floor. That's never good when you've got so many kids in a gym and 2 more teams coming in. People hear that kind of stuff from fans or coaches, hopefully not our coaches. But make sure that you have meetings with your parents to make sure that any kind of language or acting out or conflict, we're not going to tolerate that in the gym, and we can handle that appropriately. So hopefully that won't happen. Should something like that happen, make sure you contact me on Monday morning, or I'll contact you if I hear something, and we'll bring all parties involved in and sit down and discuss what we need to correct for the following weekend. But at the end of the day, coaches, we want to make it fun, teach them a little bit about volleyball, and hopefully those kids will continue on and want to keep playing volleyball, hopefully in our spring season, which will come up in April to May. So make sure you take a look at that. Make sure our kids understand why they're there. Good meeting with them, do your practices, do some drills at practice, have a lot of fun with them, but teach them something about the game. But at the end of the day, make sure that they've had a good experience, and hopefully they'll want to come back and play, as I mentioned. But once again, coaches, thank you for your time and effort. That's a lot of work for all the practice time you do, and plus the matches, or 8 matches that you'll have during the season. We certainly appreciate your time and efforts. Any questions at any time, certainly give me a call during the season. And coaches and players, we'll see you on the court.